Jeremiah 12. Righteous are you, O Yahweh, when I plead with you. Indeed, let me speak with you about right rulings. Why has the way of the wrong prospered? All the workers of treachery are at ease. You have planted them, and they have taken root. They grow, and they bear fruit. You are near in their mouth, but far from their kidneys. But you have known me, O Yahweh. You see me, and you've tried my heart toward you. Draw them away, like sheep for slaughter, and separate them for the day of slaughter. How long shall the land mourn, and the plants of every field wither? The beasts and the birds are consumed for the evil of those who dwell there, because they said, He, Yahweh, does not see our latter ending. If you have run with the footmen, and they have wearied you, then how do you contend with horses? And if in the land of peace you feel safe, then how do you manage in the Jordan jungle? For even your brothers, the house of your father, even they have betrayed you, even they have cried aloud after you. Do not believe them, even though they speak smooth words towards you. I have forsaken my house, I have left my inheritance, I have given the beloved of my being into the hand of her enemies. My inheritance has become to me like a lion in the forest. It cries out against me, therefore I have hated it. My inheritance is to me like a speckled bird of prey. The birds of prey all around are against her. Go, gather all the beasts of the field, bring them to devour. So this intro part here with Jeremiah having this conversation with Yahweh, almost reminiscent of like Job. Like, have I not dealt with you in right ruling, and yet these people who didn't, things seem to be going fine for them, but not necessarily for me. What's going on here? And Yah's responding, my inheritance is to me like a speckled bird of prey. The birds of prey all around are against her. Go gather all the beasts of the field and bring them to me to devour. Verse 10, many shepherds have destroyed my vineyard. What does Yeshua say? Many shepherds. What are shepherds? They are pastors, which comes from the word pasture. So there's an agricultural connotation there. To lead the flock. John, getting close. John 14, John 15. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, so that it bears more fruit. You are already clean because of the word, capital W, word, clean, Torah, word, which I have spoken to you. Stay in me, and I stay in you, as the branch is unable to bear the fruit of itself unless it stays in the vine, so neither you unless you stay in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who stays in me and I in him, he bears much fruit, because without me you are able to do nothing. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch dries up, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you stay in me, and my words, capital W words, stay in you, you shall ask whatever you wish, and it shall be done for you. In this my Father is esteemed, that you bear much fruit, and you shall be my taught ones. As the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Stay in my love. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands, and stay in his love. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. Many shepherds have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot, and they have made my pleasant portion become a deserted wilderness. Yeshua says, I am the good shepherd. And if we're going to talk about vineyards, John 15, I'm the true vine, and my Father is the gardener, and you're the branches. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name? Matthew 7:21. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. I never knew you. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he, Yahweh, takes away. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes. Reproof and instruction are a way of life, Proverbs 6:23, I believe it is. The command is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of instruction are a way of life. Every branch that bears fruit, he, Yahweh, prunes, so that it bears more fruit, because the Torah is the perfect tool for refining the soul. And he goes on and on from there. Yeshua in John 15, stay in me and I stay in you, as the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself unless it stays in the vine, so neither you unless you stay in me. I am the vine and you are the branches. Jeremiah 12:10, many shepherds have destroyed my vineyard. Bad shepherds, pastors not doing their job. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion become a deserted wilderness. They have laid it waste. A waste, it mourns me. All the land is laid waste because no one takes it to heart. No one takes it seriously. The ravagers have come on all the bare heights in the wilderness, for the sword of Yahweh is devouring from one end of the land to the other end of the land. There is no peace to any flesh. They have sown wheat, but reaped thorns. Where have I heard that before? The wheat and the tares, the parable of the wheat and the tares, anybody? They have sown wheat, but have reaped thorns. They have exhausted themselves, they do not profit. And they shall be ashamed of your harvest because of the burning displeasure of Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, as for all my evil neighbors who touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Israel to inherit. See, I am plucked my people Israel to inherit. The promises that were made to Abraham, Isaac, to Jacob, to Noah. Those promises are to the Father's chosen people, Yisrael, Israel. Thus said Yahweh, as for all my evil neighbors who touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Israel to inherit. See, I am plucking them out of their land, and I shall pluck out of the house of Judah from their midst. And it shall be after my plucking them out, I shall return and shall have compassion on them, and bring them back, everyone to his inheritance and everyone to his land. And it shall be, if they learn well the ways of my people. Who's my people? Israel. Which I have caused my people Israel. If they learn well the ways of my people Israel, to swear by my name, as Yahuwah lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, then they shall be established in the midst of my people. But if they do not obey, I shall pluck up and destroy that nation, declares Yahweh. They start swearing by me instead of swearing by false gods. They start acting like my people, Israel, rather than these nations. Then they shall be established in the midst of my people. We talked last week about being grafted in. Remember? Yeah, the tree of life. Where is it? Right here. Green olive tree, beautiful of goodly fruit. Jeremiah 11, verse 16. And it shall be if they learn well the ways of my people Israel, to swear by my name as Yahuwah lives, as they taught my people Israel to swear by Baal. Flip the script. Instead of them teaching Yahweh's people how to be unrighteous, if Yahweh's people can teach them how to be righteous, then they shall be established in the midst of my people. But if they do not obey, I shall pluck up, and destroy that nation, declares Yahuwah. And we've got a couple of living parables here in Jeremiah 13. We'll go ahead and do 13 as well. We're only 10 minutes in. Thus Yahuwah said to me, go and get, speaking to Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, go and get yourself a linen girdle, and put it on your loins, but do not put it in water. So I bought a girdle, according to the word of Yahweh, and I put it on my loins. And the word of Yahweh came to me the second time, saying, Take the girdle that you have brought, which is on your loins, and arise and go to the Euphrates, and hide it there in a hole on the rock. And I went and hid it by the Euphrates, as Yahweh commanded me. This is a big deal. Go get a linen girdle. Some people have said that this is a shawl. Some people have said that this was like indicative of the priestly robes. And Jeremiah, being a prophet, would have been a man who wore coarse clothing, was maybe a little bit less than incredibly well dressed, a little rough around the edges. And now he's got this linen girdle. It definitely would have stuck out, right? It would have been a sign of a higher status. It's a status symbol for sure. Whoa, wind, simmer down out there. But it's definitely a girdle. It wasn't like a talit, like a prayer shawl or anything like that. Like he wrapped it around his loins. A loincloth, okay? And then he goes up from where he's at, the house of Judah, up to the Euphrates, Babylon. And he went and he hid this thing in a hole, as Yahweh commanded me. And it came to be after many days, not a day or two, could have been years, we don't know exactly how long, that Yahweh said to me, Arise and go to the Euphrates and take from there the girdle which I commanded you to hide there. So I went to the Euphrates and dug and took the girdle from the place where I had hidden it, and there was the girdle, ruined. It was completely useless. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Thus said Yahweh, Thus I ruin the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem. This evil people who refuse to hear my words, who walk in the stubbornness of their hearts and walk after other mighty ones and serve them and bow themselves to them, is like this girdle which is completely useless. For as the girdle clings to the loins of a man, so I have caused all the house of Israel and all the house of Judah to cling to me, declares Yahweh, to become mine, for a people and for a name and for a praise and for an adorning. But they did not listen. And you shall speak to them this word. Thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, every bottle is to be filled with wine. And when they say to you, Do we not know that every bottle should be filled with wine? Then say to them, Thus said Yahweh. We're going to come back to this portion, the second portion of the wine bottles in a minute. Why a girdle? The girdle wraps the loins. The loins are where your seed comes from. The seed is where the promise of these covenants is made to. When covenants were made back in the day, a man would make an agreement with another man. They would put their hands under each other's thighs. When their thigh, what's between them. And they were swearing that when I make this agreement with your house, between the house of Bear and the house of you, whoever's listening right now, that this agreement is not from my lips to your ears for right now. It's with your seed forever in perpetuity. Forever. Yeah. So this girdle, the clinging here to the loins, it's the seed, right? For as the girdle clings to the loins of a man, so I have caused all the house of Israel and all the house of Judah to cling to me. The seed, the offspring, the houses of Israel, the houses of Judah, to cling to Yahweh. So what's going on here? The girdle's indicative of a higher status, blessings, right? Linen. Linen is definitely more expensive than like goat's hair or camel hair clothing. A finer weave. So it represents this status. And then it's buried in the ground. Just like Israel, the house of Israel, the house of Judah, had this higher status as Yahweh's chosen people. But rather than doing what they were told to do by Yahweh, rather than embracing the fact that they were chosen, they hid their lamp under a basket. They buried their girdle in the ground. And it became ruined. And then when they remembered that they had hidden this thing in the ground, they went and dug it up. But it had entropied. It had degraded. It was a shadow of its former self because it had been hidden in the ground. And so when they went to go put it back on again, as if nothing had happened, it wasn't what it used to be. It was useless. It was dirty. And Yahweh, verse 9, thus I ruin the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem, this evil people who refuse to hear my words, who walk in stubbornness of their heart and walk after other false gods to serve them and bow themselves to them, is like the girdle which is completely useless. For as the girdle clings to the loins of a man, so I have caused all the house of Israel and all the house of Judah to cling to me, declares Yahweh, to become mine, for a people and for a name and for a praise and for an adorning. But they did not listen. And this would have been a visual symbol, a visual parable, that as people were watching Jeremiah do this, hopefully they would have understood what was going on. Remember that the priesthood wore linen as well. And we go to verse 12. And you shall speak with them this word, thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, every bottle is to be filled with wine. This is almost a promise of excess here. Like every bottle, and more likely clay jar, right? Every vessel shall be filled with wine. It's a promise of the fruit of your hands, the blessing of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 28. And when they shall say to you, do we not know that every bottle should be filled with wine? They're like, yeah, of course every bottle should be filled with wine. Then say to them, thus said Yahweh, see, I am filling all the inhabitants of this land, and the kings who sit in the throne of David, and the priests, and the prophets, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with drunkenness. Newsflash here. You've taken the promise of the excess of your hands by the blessing of Yahweh, and you're now drunk on it. Everybody. The king who sits on the throne of David, the priests, the prophets, all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, you're now drunk on this. Wine is deeply ceremonial throughout the word. But drunkenness is not okay. Aaron loses 2 of his 4 sons due to drunkenness. There is a moth struggling against the sub-zero temperatures, and here you need to be somewhere else. How about over there? Drunkenness is not okay. Too much of a good thing. And then when you start to take that good thing for granted, you miss the point of why you have it in the first place. And I shall dash them one against the other, both the fathers and the sons together, declares Yahweh. I do not spare nor pardon nor have compassion that I should not destroy them. Listen and give ear. Do not be proud, for Yahweh has spoken. Give esteem to Yahweh your Elohim before he brings darkness and before your feet stumble on the dark mountains, and while you are looking for light. He turns it into the shadow of death, makes it gross darkness. And if you do not listen, my soul shall weep in secret for your pride, and my eyes bitterly weep and run down with tears, because the flock of Yahweh shall be taken captive. Pride, arrogance. Say to the king and to the king's mother, humble yourself, sit down, for your rule, the crown of your comeliness has come down. The cities of the south shall be shut up, with none to open them. Judah shall be taken into exile, all of it, and it is. She shall be taken into exile completely. Lift up your eyes, and those who see, and see those who come from the north. Where is the flock that was given to you, your fair sheep? What would you say when he, Yahweh, visits you? For you have taught them to be chiefs, to be head over you. Do not pangs seize you like a woman in labor. And when you say in your heart, why has this come upon me? Why is it because of your great crookedness that your skirts have been uncovered, your heels have been made bare? Your great crookedness, your pride, your lack of obedience to do what Yah told you to do in the first place. So you reap what you sow. You took this good thing, the fact that every bottle would be filled with wine, and you got drunk on it. The excess that comes from the blessing of Yah. and you've perverted it. And now the king, the priest, the prophets, all the inhabitants, everybody's drunk on their specialness. And I shall dash them one against another, because they're not doing what Yah told them to do. Almost sounds to me like modern Christianity. Well, I'm covered by the blood of Jesus. I can do whatever. I've been redeemed. There's a Torah for your redemption. You know what happens? You become a bondservant in the house of the Redeemer when you do that. Turns out the house of the Redeemer has some rules. You have been redeemed. Redeemed to what? You are a bondservant in the house of the Master. You should look up the Torah for redemption. Why did God have to become flesh? Because of the kinsman redeemer, the Torah of redemption. Only a brother can redeem another brother. Yeah. It's powerful. You should look it up. You should do your homework on that. Does a Cushite change his skin and a leopard its spots? You who are taught to do evil are also unable to do good. So I shall scatter them like stubble that passes away by the wind of the wilderness. This is your lot and your measured portion from me, declares Yahweh, because you have forgotten me and trust in falsehood. And I shall even draw your skirts over your face, and your shame shall be seen. Your adulteries and your neighings, like a horse neighing in heat, the wickedness of your whoring. I have seen your abominations on the hills and in the fields. Woe to you, O Jerusalem! How long before you would be made clean? Reminds me of a passage in Hebrews, which is somewhere over here in the back of this book. Colossians, Thessalonians, Timotheos, Peter, Hebrews chapter 10. Hebrews chapter 10. Starting in verse 26. For if we sin purposefully, after we have received knowledge of the truth. And what is sin? Let's biblically define sin. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4, New Testament, written by Yochanan, the one whom Yeshua loved, the Apostle John. 1 John 3, verse 4, sin is lawlessness. Sin is Torahlessness. For if we are Torahless purposefully, after we have received knowledge of the truth, so there's a compare-contrast here between sin and truth. And sin is transgression of the Torah. What do you suppose truth is then? The Torah. For if we are Torahless purposefully after we have received knowledge of the truth, the way, the truth, the life, there no longer remains a slaughter offering for sins. I'm covered by the blood of Jesus. There no longer remains a slaughter offering for sins, but some fearsome anticipation of judgment and a fierce fire which is about to consume the opponents. This is the Apostle Paul in the New Testament, BT dubs. Anyone who has disregarded the Torah of Moshe dies without compassion on the witness of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment do you think shall he deserve, who has trampled the Son of Elohim underfoot, counted the blood of the covenant by which he was set apart as common, and insulted the Spirit of favor, of grace? For we know him who has said, vengeance is mine, I shall repay, says Yahweh. And again, Yahweh shall judge his people. It is fearsome to fall into the hands of the living Elohim. I shall even draw your skirts over your face, and your shame shall be seen, your adulteries and your neighings, the wickedness of your whoring. I have seen your abominations on the hills and in the fields. Woe to you, O Jerusalem! How long before you would be made clean? Even under the renewed covenant by the blood of Yeshua, doing things you know you're not supposed to do, that's not permissible. Anyone who has disregarded the Torah of Moshe dies without compassion on the witness of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment, worse than dying without compassion by the Torah of Moshe, how much worse do you think it's going to be for him who has trampled the Son of Elohim underfoot, trampled the Son of Elohim underfoot, counted the blood of the covenant by which he was set apart as common, and insulted the Spirit of grace? It is fearsome to fall into the hands of the living Elohim. So act right so that Dad doesn't kick you out of the family. And if Dad did kick you out of the family and you've come back in because the brother covered you, made an offering for you to make it right in between you and Dad, don't mess it up again. Bless y'all. Shalom.